about what's happening, how we see the world, how we see our impact in the community, and I'll give you the opportunity to really kind of think through this with us and get excited. So I'd like to turn it over to Dan Gillotte.
I'm going to do this. Cause trouble, I think I'm going to do. One thing I was thinking as I look at all you folks, I'm going to be drawing on these boards and like showing you things. And I was thinking the closer in you are, the more viewable it will all be, and you won't have the obstructed seats. They were no cheaper for you to sit in the obstructed seats than the ones right in front here. So if you, not going to make it, but if you want to slide in, I think you'll see more stuff. I'm going to say right out front at the beginning that we are working on opening a second store within the next year or so. But, thank you. But more importantly, today is really about sharing how a second or a third store is really just a part of our big plan to create more good in the world. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're primarily here to talk about our exciting plan for the future, which we call Wheatsville's Big Direction. We're going to talk a little about change, about why co-ops are important, talk a tiny bit about the grocery business, and then we're going to end with a really cool exercise called the Human Shuffle that you'll help us with to help us figure out a little bit more feedback and opportunity around the big direction. We're also going to start with an exercise, so if you could take out your index card and your mini golf pencil that you got upon entrance, you can keep those. Well, you can't keep the index card, you can keep the pencil. So, I'm going to ask you to imagine that you moved to a town. You had to move, you had to leave Austin. It's very tragic, so we can pause for a moment and think, oh my gosh, what would make me have to leave Austin? And then we think about, you're living in a town, you need to figure out where to shop. What 2 to 3 things would a grocer need to do to inspire you to drive past a nearer supermarket or natural food store to go to that more distant grocer? Okay, so I'm going to move on forward. We're going to have Rosemary come up in a second and talk to you about our board ends policies. And board ends policies, like that sounds really boring because it maybe has the word board in the front and policies at the end, but it's really not boring. It's really exciting and awesome and incredible and important. And so I need you guys to have your hugest ears on to listen, because it's really the foundation of everything else that we're going to talk about today. And it's really the foundation of everything that we're doing at Wheatsville now and for the future. So please pay attention to what Rosemary's saying, and she's going to come talk about ends right now. They are written here so you can follow along if you like.
It is the funny thing about policy that we think that it should be boring, and then we start talking about it, and it ends up being really exciting and engrossing and consuming. It's a strange thing. You can ask any of the board members about it, and I'll explain the phenomena to you. But we are a policy governance board, so the board is responsible for developing and maintaining policies that describe our processes and our responsibilities, and most importantly, our outcomes. So like, why do we exist? And through years of ongoing conversation with the board, with our operations management team, and with our owners, we've been having this, inquiry about why are we here? Maybe back in the 70s, it was like, dude, why are we here? But like for us, really, it's like, what does it mean that we're a co-op? What are the values of owners, and how do we want to engage with that? What are the possibilities for this organization? What can we do together as a co-op? What difference can we make in the world? How can we transform society? So our ends policies are a way of codifying and explicitly describing what the underlying purpose of this organization is. And through years of ongoing conversation, thinking about what difference can we make in society, we've realized it's not just about the popcorn tofu. That we love that, but we really are about transforming society towards cooperation, justice, and non-exploitation. And we think we can really do it, which might sound a little crazy, but it's one step at a time. And I think we're on our way, and all of you guys are part of the evidence of that. So our co-op ends are here. Wheatsville will be at the forefront of a transformed society that has a thriving community centered on kindness, generosity, and hospitality, a robust cooperative economy, easy access to sustainable, healthy food solutions. And these seem like simple statements, but these aren't things that we're going to do in a year. And we think that there's a real profound thing about all these that might seem really simple, but think about what would it be like to have a community that's centered on kindness, generosity, and hospitality. Like, I get goosebumps when I think about that, like, what that could be like, what would be different in our world. So that, I just wanted to share that with you as the foundation for everything that we're trying to do. While we are trying to celebrate popcorn tofu, and we hope that it's delicious, and customer service is really important, it's really about these big, big things that are happening through this seemingly simple and yet foundational act. I love, you guys might have seen this Andy Warhol quote, "A grocery cart is the most powerful vehicle for social change." Right up next to air and water, food is pretty important. And that's one of the things that's so wonderful about Wheatsville being a food-centered consumer co-op. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Dan.
All right. Thank you, Rosemary. So the great thing about the ends policy, that being foundational, is it tells me, as general manager of Wheatsville, and our staff, what we're doing. It really tells us, like, when you're making decisions, when you're thinking about the future, you know, what are you doing? What are we working towards? It's not just about tomorrow, you know, making sure that we have enough groceries on the shelf to make enough money for the first quarter returns or whatever. It's about the future that we're trying to create in Austin and the world. So I'm going to just talk about each end very briefly. One great thing about having ends, it's a demonstration of the fact that we're a values-based organization, and so everything else we do is based on, you know, are we doing these things? So we have these are relatively simple ends because we wanted everyone to be able to remember them. But I've actually just taken them slightly shorthanded or changed them slightly to interpret them, and I didn't change them, I interpreted them so that we could just kind of talk about them on the operations side a little more clearly, and so I'm just going to show those to you right now. We interpret a thriving community centered on kindness, generosity, and hospitality simply as, or not so simply, as happy people. We consider a robust cooperative economy, we just generally say co-op economy. That's really simple. And then we interpret easy access to sustainable, healthy food solutions as local, organic, sustainable food. So that's the first one we're going to talk about. We are really think that local, organic, and sustainable food are better for the consumers. It's better food. It's better tasting food. It's generally healthier food. And we think that's a good thing. We think it's better for the producer. It's better for the producer if it's organic or grown sustainably. It's safer to just produce that kind of food than it is traditional or now conventional product. And it's better for the environment as well. We also think it's better, for the producer because for local, because they have a place to sell their wares, and that's a good thing for our local economy. And if you're talking about animal products and things, it's also more humane. Most of the products that we sell at Wheatsville are much more humane than what you'd find at the standard grocery store or even other natural food stores. So moving on to a society centered on kindness, generosity, and hospitality, the more happy people. So last year, we conducted a shopping study in which Wheatsville came out as the friendliest, most helpful store in Austin. So, yeah, that's pretty exciting. So we strive to live this every day. I hope that you experience it yourself. And we think that by being kind and friendly in store, that we can have a rippling positive effect in all of Austin. Wheatsville shoppers can go home feeling happy and appreciated, and maybe spread this to their family, their friends, their neighbors. We want more people to have easier access to this positive experience. So robust cooperative economy, our co-op is a pooling of our community resource. We pool it so that we can accomplish things that we can't do alone. Growing a more cooperative economy means more shared wealth and benefit. When Wheatsville has success, thousands of people share in that success. We also want more co-op economy because co-ops are locally controlled. And we all know that local business is better. Most of us have seen the studies that show the economic impact of local being, basically 3-to-1 over an out-of-town business. Co-ops are also more responsive. We're in the community. We're responding. We're with you. That's a great thing about cooperatives. In Wheatsville's case, specifically, we do great things with our financial success. We share it with owners. We share it with staff. We share it with our local community through local community groups and charitable organizations. Last year, Wheatsville donated $52,000 to local community groups, like Urban Roots, other great organizations, groups that are doing really important things in our community. $52,000 is a little over 20% of our total net income going to local community groups doing good in the world. If you ever see like a lot of businesses like, we give 1% of profits back to good. 20's better. And finally, we love growing the cooperative economy because co-op jobs are good jobs with good pay and benefits. And we're a friendly and caring employer too. Today and every day at Wheatsville, we are building on the foundation for the future that we want. And this is really good and important work that we're doing. So for us, the plan for the future is this thing called Wheatsville's Big Direction. It's the embodiment of our future. So I'm going to lay this out for you, the path and the process that we're going to be using. The Big Direction doesn't answer all our questions, but it does give us that map and direction and where we're heading to. So I'm going to do some drawing and filling in to show our big direction, but before I do that, I want to define what big means. It really does have a meaning, and it is in all caps for a reason, not just because I'm shouting. So B is for business. We are a cooperative business, and we're in the grocery business, so we're going to be excellent grocers. I hope you experience that whenever you're in the store. I is for is, kind of makes sense. But it also means that our big direction is ongoing now and into the future, that we're going to make this plan real. That's the plan with the is. G is for good. And while it's hard work to be an excellent grocer, being an excellent grocer isn't enough. We are more than excellent grocers. So in total, business is good, meaning we're a thriving, financially successful, and growing entity, and that our business as a co-op specifically does good things in our community and the world. Finally, direction shows that we are intentional and focused. We have a point in what we're doing and doing our work. We have a vision and a plan.
I'm going to move this over so that people can see the rest of your very practical drawing.
Don't record though. Pretty good. It's fine.
More view of the. Dan does have an illustrious art background, so.
That's right, you can tell. I'm not using it today, but I do have one. There it goes. I had something to wipe my brow, but it's gone now. Okay, so here's Wheatsville's. Oh, thank you. As I said earlier, Louis Armstrong needed a hanky all the time. I'm in good company, I guess. So this is Wheatsville's big direction. Right here. This is Wheatsville today at 3101 Guadalupe, the store that we know and love. Right now, we are having some opportunity for owner feedback. That's happening sort of right here. And we're going to take that owner feedback and interaction, and we're going to assess and adjust. And we're going to do that for the entirety of the big direction. And we're also going to assess and adjust. So, an important component of the big direction is that in order to accomplish all the good things that we want to, we're going to focus on opening additional Wheatsville stores. That's the plan. So by having more Wheatsville stores over the next 1, 3, 5, 20 years, we're going to have lots more owners and shoppers. We're going to sell lots more groceries, and we're going to do a lot more good in the world because of that. So this is basically one store. Somewhere down the road, maybe in a year, we'll have 2 stores. Sometime after that, 3 stores, 4 stores. And the numbers don't exactly matter, but it's the idea of having more stores that I wanted to show you. The big direction basically takes all the good that we're doing at 3101 Guadalupe and amplifies it. By doing this, we're accomplishing our co-op's organizational ends. Successful execution of Wheatsville's big direction is going to create more local, organic, sustainable food, more cooperative economy, and more happy people. And as I said, built into the big direction are opportunities for owner feedback and assessment and adjustment all the way through the process. This isn't just like a, we're bowling forward no matter what happens. We're constantly checking, constantly getting feedback, constantly assessing and adjusting through the process. So, going a little bit deeper here, we like local organic. We like local organic and sustainable food. We're really excited about it. But no matter how successful we are at 3101 Guadalupe, we'll be limited in selling more local organic and sustainable food simply by how many folks we can fit in the store or how many folks will come a distance to shop at Wheatsville. So right now, as an experiment, we're really excited about our 4 local egg producers that we have. That's what those are. They represent 4 local egg producers. They're nice little brown eggs. But that's about what we have for demand. But wouldn't it be really even more cool if we had enough demand to support, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sure. Right now we have 4 local egg producers. There's 8. Well, what if we could get to a dozen local egg producers or even more? That's possible through more locations having more chance to sell more local products and organic and sustainable products to more people. That's just one example of what could happen with the big direction. So more co-op economy. So our store right now generates about $16 million in sales. This is Jada, the video guy's daughter, drew this for me. It's a shopping bag. So that's about $16 million in sales, let's say. And this t-shirt, this is Wheatsville staff t-shirt. You can tell, it looks like a t-shirt. 136 staff as of last week. With more stores, we could get more of the grocery dollars in Austin flowing through our cooperative. So I want to ask you guys a question. How much money did people spend on groceries in Austin last year? Any ideas? Nobody's going to throw out any number?
230 million.
250 million? That's good. Anybody else?
5 billion.
How much?
Billion. 2.5.
2.5 billion. That's so between 2.5 and 2 million and billion. That's good. We get to what we actually, I roughly believe, it's a little hard to pin this down, but essentially we, Austinites, purchased $1 billion, that's dollars, American dollars, in groceries in the Austin area last year. So you remember, Wheatsville, we did $16 million. A little less than 2% of the $1 billion of groceries that are already out there being bought by people. So clearly, there's a lot of dollars being spent on groceries that are not being spent at a cooperative. Wouldn't it be great with 2 or 3 or 5 stores for our co-op to be selling more of the groceries people are already buying from somewhere else. And potentially, other co-op businesses might spring up with us as a large customer. So we're pretty excited about Red Rabbit Cooperative Bakery, a new co-op in town that make pretty yummy vegan donuts. We're one of their biggest customers. I think we probably are their biggest customer. If we had 2 stores or 3 stores or 5 stores, they would likely grow along with us and be able to add more bakers having cool co-op baking jobs in their life and expand that community. Or other co-op bakeries might spring up around to help support us. Or we'd love to buy from a cooperative janitorial service. Wouldn't that be cool? And if we were a big enough customer, we could start to drive demand for that sort of thing. So maybe H-E-B doesn't want a cooperative janitorial service, but we do, and we would support them. We don't have to create the janitorial service. Someone else who wants to do that can. We're going to be grocers. But they can do that because we're being excellent at being a grocer. And we're growing the cooperative economy by doing that. And we helped Red Rabbit along the way, and we'd help other people along the way too. So we'd assist in that. So moving along to more happy people. Oh, I didn't do this fun part. We'll do this. Let's just, for fun, say 100 million in grocery bags. And we'll do, what if there are 750 Wheatsville staff people having good co-op jobs in Austin, feeling good about where they worked, being friendly and helpful and generous and hospitable. That could be cool. So more happy people. So more stores basically create a lot more chances for people to be part of our community, our family, to experience the excellent and caring service that you guys get when you come into our store. That's really a good thing. We think that's a positive thing in the world. We hear from people continuously, wow, you made my day. I was having a terrible day and I came in and the deli totally made me happy. Or my kids were really bummed out and then they got to the register and they got a sticker and they were so stoked. And we hear these stories all the time. We really feel good about the way that our little grocery store can have a positive impact. And we're really excited about the way that little grocery store, we can have some more of them and create more of that in the world. So currently we serve about 12,000 owners a week. So 12,000 shoppers a week. We have 11,000 owners. If that was quadrupled, so what is it, 48,000 people in Austin having access and shopping at Wheatsville. Maybe there's 40,000 owners, something like that. That'd be pretty exciting, right? Okay. So the big direction also creates more resource for us to do more good in our community. Our friends at PCC, a co-op with 8 stores and $150 million in sales in Seattle, have done some amazing things with their success. 2 things they've done. They've preserved 5 farms and 600 acres of farmland through a nonprofit that they started. And they provide more food for people in need. They donated over $65,000 of 65,000 pounds of food to food banks in Seattle in 2010. And that comes from the scale that they've been able to generate. Okay, so hopefully, I gotta move along here. Been dawdling. Hopefully this sounds exciting to everybody. But I know that change can be, it's change, maybe new to folks. That can be a little bit scary. Some people might be thinking, but I like Wheatsville like it is now. It's so great now, why do I want to change it? And what if it's not in my neighborhood? Or what about this? Or there's lots of reasons people might have concerns about change. So we're gonna play a little game here. This is 1976, this is now, this is 2046. Did anything change from 1976 to now? Have there been changes? All kinds of stuff, right? All kinds of stuff happened. Some of it was good, some of it was bad, some of it was scary, some of it was awesome. There was barely a Wheatsville, now there's thriving Wheatsville. So change happened and that was good. So we can assume that change is going to happen from now to 2046, right? And it's going to be like this again. Holy smokes. All kinds of things are going to change. Crazy things are going to change. Some of them are good, some are going to be bad, whatever. The big direction, though, helps us to plan a course through all that craziness to plan a positive future. So we're not just bouncing around, buffeted around by all the change that's happening. We're going somewhere. We have a plan. We're heading there. And we're planning a positive future. And that's through, no matter what changes, we're planning this positive future now. Okay, so if we could take a minute, think about change. Can you think of a time, I'm going to ask you two questions to think about for a minute. Think of a time in the past 35 years when change has been good and positive in the world. Let's think about that broadly. And then also think about a time when you created a positive change because you were intentional about it. Let's take a minute and think about that.
But you do have the answer, though.
I have to answer it?
I'm pretty sure you do.
I might have an answer. Actually, Gabe has an answer for me, I think. Right, Gabe?
I think so.
Tell me about one positive thing that happened in the past 35 years.
I think that we set a really good example for human rights by repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Okay, that was a very recent thing in the past 35 years, big change. Thank you. And how about, Kate, you want to tell me something about an intentional change that you made that was for the good?
I would love to.
Thank you.
I was getting my PhD in Baltimore, Maryland 4 years ago, and I dropped out, which was just a serious change, a serious, scary thing. And because of that, I now live in Wheatsville. Basically, I live in Wheatsville.
Yeah, we've been needing to talk about that, Kate.
Dan keeps trying to kick me out. It's terrible. I will nest in the back office. I get to live in Austin. I get to be a part of Wheatsville, and I get to be a part of this. And that's pretty intentional and terrifying.
Cool. So those are just some things to, if you're having trouble thinking of something or whatever, there's things to think about. We've really become huge believers at Wheatsville in setting a direction and an intention and the success that can come from that practice. So this idea is really one of the major drivers of articulating Wheatsville's big direction. Like, we could have just kept it in our heads or whatever and not really talked about it, but we thought that it's really important to say what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. And that's a good opportunity to share that because we believe in articulating the future and the positive future that we can have. So there's been a lot of change. There's even been a lot of change at Wheatsville since I got here in 1998. And so we'll look at that for a second. So in 1998, sales were at 3.8 million. In 2005, they got to about 5.1 million. In 2009, which was the year when we were renovating, we got to 9.9 million. The full year of the renovation, we did 14.4 million. And then this year, we're planning to do $16 million in sales. So that's a lot of change. When I started, we had 60 staff. Last week, we had 136 staff. In 1998, we had 7,000 owners. We have about 11,000 owners right now. So change has happened at Wheatsville. A lot of change has already happened over the years. We've also had cultural change. We've gone from difficult years where we were really just lucky to be open, lucky to be around, to now where we're thriving and growing and planning a really exciting future. Over the years, we built a great team of managers and staff who have a track record of success. We're going to build on that with the big direction. Management and staff are focused on ensuring that you have a great shopping trip today if you go back to the store, and awesome Thanksgiving in a month or so. But we're also looking 30 years down the road for the concrete realization of the board's ends. So as you've seen, we've grown sales, we've added co-op jobs, we've become an excellent award-winning cooperative grocer, and the plan is to keep on doing that, but more. So what are we doing now in relation to the big direction? We've assembled a team of talented folks to help us plan our step from one store to a multi-store co-op grocer. A second store is logically our immediate next step. I have no location to announce today, but we're using feedback from our owners, our own thorough understanding of Austin, and a professional market study to decide the location that will yield the greatest opportunity for success in the second store. We're really looking for a home run with our next store. It's really important to us that we pick the right place. Once the location is secured, we're going to announce it and we'll plan a successful project and opening. Like I said, it could be as soon as next fall if things go well. Our plans call for us to be able to begin planning a third store a reasonable time after that. One thing's for sure, though, none of our activity is going to put Wheatsville at financial jeopardy. And in fact, it's going to help us achieve our ends and do more good in the world. I'm driven by these things. None of these things say, put Wheatsville out of business. I promise, these drive me. More cooperative economy is more, not less, not none. So what you can expect, continuing communication. Hopefully you're on our weekly email list, or you read the Wheatsville Breeze, or you're in Facebook or Twitter, that kind of thing. If you're not, those are good things to get hooked into so you can keep apprised of what we're doing. We'll definitely communicate a lot about this over time. Beyond that, we really look forward to your support. You are our best advocates and promoters. There may be an opportunity for owner-investor share opportunities like there was for the renovation project that was such a huge success. So keep an ear out for that. So I'm rounding the corner here, almost done. We have an exercise to do right after this. But I just want to say I'm so excited about the good that Wheatsville is going to create with the big direction. More local, organic, sustainable food, more cooperative economy, more happy people. And we're going to create that together, working towards the big direction. And I continue to feel so lucky and so proud to be in this role at this special co-op, a values-based business. And I really appreciate your continued trust and support. So thank you.